Hey folks, my name's Bryan and you're watching Survival on Purpose. Thanks for checking in. This is the second video in the, I guess the journal of my Pathfinder Phase One certification course. And in the last video, first video, talked a little bit, just did a little semi-unboxing, talked a little bit about the course, and I want to show you some more details about the first step. So first of all, I took the trouble and printed out one of the DVDs, CDs you get has got a lot of downloadable information that you're really gonna need, and it's really helpful. So I was kind of curious about that. So I downloaded it, printed it out, put it in a little book. Just want to kind of give you a brief glimpse of what's in there, and let's talk briefly about what the first step is going to be and some things we're going to need to consider before we take it. So stick with me, let me readjust this. Okay, print all this out and it's kind of want to go over show you. Talks a little bit about welcome back to the course, what you're going to expect to find, and some of the things you're going to expect to encounter when you're going through this. It's got a lot of details in it, and we're going to come back to this page in a minute, but I just want to kind of show you what it's got. It's got all your blocks and the different things you're going to go through, kind of each lesson, so they call them blocks. So we've got first aid, wild edibles. Let's just go through the blocks real quick here. So the first one is going to be about your, you got to find your personal space. And that's what I'm really going to talk about. So block one is your personal space. Block two is practical exercise and research. It's got a lot of stuff about knots and making cordage in here. Block three is the rules of three. Block four is got a lot of stuff in it. Wild edibles, big 4 wild edibles. Block 5 is about some first aid stuff. Block 6 senses. So, and they're not necessarily, the block's not necessarily about just one thing. It's just there's that many blocks, and each block has got a certain amount of skills that you're supposed to work on. It's types of sign for trapping. All right, and it's got a pretty big database about all kinds of plants here, and that's cool. All right, it's, you know, it's just a lot of text, all the way up to block 9, how many blocks there are, block 10. I think there's 10 blocks. Okay, but that's great. Then it shows you your 10 basic building blocks, and it's got some just kind of more condensed versions of really mnemonics and things to make it easy to remember. We'll flip through those real quick. Then there are just some field reference stuff. It's got a lot of information. I kind of relate this similar to like the SAS guide or some other. It's just got a lot of different skill type information that you can use to increase your learning. And a lot of detailed drawings and stuff like that. And then what I really like, this is probably one of my favorite things, it talks about wild edibles of the eastern woodlands, which is where I live in Georgia. And what's cool about it is these are in color. All right, so I printed them in color, but they're in color. Not in black and white like a lot of pictures. A lot of books that I've looked at for wild edibles have got black and white pictures and handling, which is great, but I mean, you know, to me that seems like this makes it a lot more difficult to really identify what you're looking for. So these have got really good color photographs, not even drawings, so you can actually see what the plants you're looking at look like. I think that's a really great feature, and it's really, to me, that just makes a lot more sense than a black and white picture. It talks about not only edible plants but medicinal plants, and even gives you some warning, some stuff to stay away from, poison plants. A lot of different stuff in here. It's really cool. So, and once again, this is the I printed this out. It comes on a PDF, so, and I kind of like that because you can actually look at it on your iPad if you want to. You can look at it on your phone if you want to. You can look at it on your computer and zoom around it. And I just printed this out so I can have it in the field with me for other research. You know, read it on the computer, on the iPad, which is pretty cool. And so that's the information and research and notes and packages that you get. The first, I want to talk about again, the first step in the process is about finding your personal space. And personal space. So let me readjust the camera, and I want to talk about that just for a minute. Okay, so I took a quick look at all the documentation and the manuals and whatnot you get in the instructions. And it's pretty detailed. I've honestly not had a chance to go through all of it yet. I did get it printed out, assembled the book, and I'm getting ready to start on the first step of the process, which is to find and locate your personal space. And Dave calls it a personal space. And what that means is that's some places you can go to and practice these skills and kind of set up your area that you can go back to and have a consistent place to practice these skills. What he recommends is a 100-foot by 100-foot minimum area that you kind of set up your personal campsite / workspace in, and you need to kind of figure that out and make sure that you can have that much space to work with. So now I started thinking about this, and you know, he kind of goes over some of this in his instructions about how to find it, but really, you know, I guess all of us, let me take a brief detour, okay? Nobody can teach you anything. You know, whether if you're a teacher, that's great, but honestly, nobody can teach us anything. All we can really, the best we can expect from any teaching system, any teacher, any course of instruction, is to provide us with the information maybe we need, or the background or the foundation, so that we can learn, especially these kind of hands-on skills. You know, you can always have somebody to guide you and point you in the right direction and give you the right information to start the learning process and to go through the learning process. But it's up to us to learn this stuff. You know, nobody can build a fire for us. Nobody can use a bow drill for us. Nobody can do these kind of things for us. We have to learn to do them on our own. And a lot of it involves muscle memory, and it involves trial and error, and it involves just really using the old noggin up there, you know, to think things through. So, you know, he's got a little bit of information in here about what you need to do for your personal space, but I would encourage you, if you want to do this or follow me along, be thinking about what's going to work for you. And here's what I came up with. So sorry for my little soapbox there about teaching, but you know, I think sometimes we put expectations on people and judge things and systems and courses by, you know, the expectation that, okay, I'm here, you know, pump this information into me. If I don't learn, it's your fault. And usually that's not true. So one of the things that I just determined that I need in my personal space, it's got to be convenient for me. I got a pretty busy schedule in my life, like most of you guys do. You know, I got work, I got scouts, I got church, I got a whole lot going on. So it needs to be somewhere that I can get to pretty quickly, and because I'm going to need to be going there, you know, as often as I can. To, I guess, the more often I can go, the quicker I can get through this course, and the better, faster I'll learn. It needs to be convenient. It needs to be somewhat private so that I don't have people tromping through, and don't really have to worry about people messing my stuff up. I don't plan on leaving any personal gear there. I don't think that's wise. So anything that, but I may be building a primitive shelter or leaving, you know, stuff that I guess woodcrafting type stuff that I've created there, and really don't want anybody in there trashing my stuff. So it needs to be somewhere kind of off, a little bit off the beaten path. It's going to be a little inconvenient for everybody to go to. The third thing, other than convenient and semi-private, I think it needs to have a certain amount of resources. And by resources, I mean, I think it needs to be a source of fresh water, and that's something you really need to think about, because I've done put a lot of thought into it. And there's a lot of streams that are pretty good sized streams. And if that's all you've got, then you know you have to make do with that. But ideally, you need to try to find water that is kind of at the source. So I've got a couple of locations in mind that I'm not going to share on video for the world to see, so at least, you know, out in the open where they are. But where I know there's a stream that kind of starts close to there, and it doesn't come out of a big lake and a cow pasture or something like that. So it's a small stream and it feeds into a bigger stream. So I know there's some places where streams start. If you look at a topo map, you can kind of see the beginning of streams a lot of times and try to see if that's where, you know, maybe check the area out. So that's just one resource. You need some water, source of water. No matter where it is around here, I'm in Georgia, I'm going to boil it and purify it, because even though it may be fresh out of the ground, it's just there's too much development going on. There's no telling. I think you need to have some good firewood, because a lot of what we do involves fires. So it needs to have a good source of dead down firewood that you can cut up and burn. It needs to have, honestly, this is not in line with a lot of people's thinking maybe, but it needs to have some living wood that you can cut and use. So it needs to be an abundance of it, small saplings and stuff that you're not going to destroy the ecosystem of the forest, you know, if you harvest a little bit of it and use it responsibly. But let's face it, if you can learn some of these skills, you're going to have to cut down some live trees, some live wood sometimes, some live branches. Reality is, that's a resource that I'm going to be looking for. Kind of look around for edible plants maybe, or, you know, medicinal plants. They need to have at least a reasonable diversity of plant life in the area. So you're not, if it's not all pine trees and pine straw at the bottom, you maybe have somewhere within your close enough area that you can have a diversity of resources as far as plants and trees and stuff. And then third, or finally, I don't know if it's third or fourth, needs to have some, I think, a good source of different variety of wildlife maybe. You have to pay attention obviously to the seasons and regulations for hunting and trapping in your area, but if nothing else, you just want to learn to track animals and learn to observe the signs of animals, even if you're not going to actually trap or hunt or anything right now. You still need to be prepared to do that, and to be able to observe animal signs. Well, you need animals. So those are some of the things I'm going to be looking for. In our next video, we'll probably talk a little bit more about actually specifically finding my personal space, and maybe take a look at it and do the process to make sure that it's the right place. I think it's real important to spend enough time doing this, because you can spend a lot of time here, and just don't rush this part of the process. I know if you're like me, you're probably itching to get going at it, and I have to slow myself down sometimes, but I think it's important enough to go ahead and take the time, find the right place, and then you don't have to get halfway through the process and find out, oh, you picked the wrong spot and you got to move. So if that happens, it happens, but I think if you prepare properly, you'll minimize the chance of that. So that's the first part about finding your personal space. And this is video 2 of the Pathfinder Phase 1 certification process that hopefully you're taking this trip with me. Okay, well, that was a little bit about the Pathfinder Phase 1 certification resources that come with the kit, and a little bit more about the first step in the process. I hope that was helpful. I hope you're enjoying this and joining me with it on this journey as we go together. We're probably going to be a long journey, because it's in my spare time, but hopefully we can learn some stuff together. And I wanted to take a minute to offer, I guess, a plug, you would call it, for my new friend JC Duncan. You can check his video channel out at JC and Shorty, the YouTube channel at JC and Shorty. He's got some really good videos on there about a pretty big variety of outdoor skills and stuff, and it's pretty obvious to me that JC knows his stuff. And we had some conversations, some messages, and when he found out I was taking this course, and he through those conversations, I found out that JC's got a school. It's in Mississippi. It's about 50 miles south of Memphis, and I'm looking at my notes here. It's on about 8,000 acres, and it's near Sardis Lake, Mississippi. The name of the school is OSM, which I like this, stands for Old School Makings. And JC teaches about self-reliance, both wilderness and urban, fire, shelter, water, all the basic stuff, a lot of trapping and working with hides. He's also got a course that I thought was pretty interesting. It's called the Trash Course. And unfortunately, everywhere you go these days, no matter how far away it seems like you are from civilization, you find trash now. And so he's got a course on utilizing trash for survival and self-reliance. I think that sounds pretty interesting. He keeps his classes limited to 2 to 10 students, so you get really, really good one-on-one type instruction. I'm not sure about his prices. He gave me his email, but I really don't want to put his email out for the whole world. Maybe he doesn't want that. I would encourage you to go to his YouTube channel, JC and Shorty, and go to his channel and send him a message and get the information you need if you're interested in it. So JC, I really appreciate your all your help and all your videos you're putting out there, and just wanted to say thanks, man. And go check JC out. I think you'll like it. All right, well, I appreciate you watching the channel, Survival on Purpose. I appreciate you subscribing, giving it the old thumbs up, telling your friends about it if you think they'll like it. Check me out on Google+, Twitter, soon to be on Facebook, I think. And I really appreciate your help. Once again, my name's Bryan. You've been watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival is not an accident. See you next time.